Aug Prep parent. So when I started 10 years ago, would never have guessed that my kids will go to the school I work at. In fact, I grew up in Brookfield, love public schools, think they're really important to our community, and wouldn't have thought I was sending my kid to a private inner city school. But God's funny like that. And it is exactly where we're called to be, both because I love interacting with people from all different backgrounds, and because God took us on a journey, and we are foster parents, and ended up adopting my middle son, Quincy, out of foster care. And so to be in a place where he recognizes people who look like him and come from a background like him is really important to how I want my kids to be raised. And it's not perfect, but seeing it now through the eyes of a parent, life-changing, right? Like, I always thought we did good work, obviously, because I work there. But watching my kids be wrapped in love, even when it's hard, even when they run out of class because they're having a bad day, that has been such a game changer for me. So everything I say today is both the perspective of someone who works at Aug Prep, but also the perspective of someone who chooses to send their child to this place. And again, you'll hear it over and over. I loved hearing it in about your congregation. We're not perfect. We're a group of people trying our best, trying to live the way of Jesus. So I'm going to start by setting the scene a little bit about education in Milwaukee. And it's not a pretty picture. Probably doesn't surprise many of you if you read some of the headlines, but our city has an incredible crisis in front of it in terms of the opportunities for our children. And the word achievement gap gets thrown around a lot. Our black and brown students do not achieve at the same level of their peers in places like Whitefish Bay, right? We're 10 minutes from downtown. And at the end of the day, at Aug Prep, we frame that as an opportunity gap. God made every child full of potential. Every child has just as much beauty and calling in them. But unfortunately, sometimes the systems don't allow that to be unlocked. And so when we think of all the things happening in our city at Aug Prep, we're opening doors for kids who may not otherwise have that opportunity. I wanted to give a little context more close to home, though. So that star is our new campus, 5 minutes that way. This is from the MMAC, does a map of all of the schools in Milwaukee, and each circle is how the bigger it is, the more kids it has. Blue are good schools based on the state's report card, so the state gives rankings of schools based on a number of factors. Reds are, so the scale is like red to blue, yellow somewhere in the middle. You'll notice where there's a lot of blue schools, right where we are. There are great schools in this community. But within 5 miles of that school right there, so about 5 miles of here, there are over 100 elementary, middle, or high schools. Of them, about 30,000 students within 5 miles of here. 16,000 of them are in schools that meet or below, don't meet expectations based on the state or are just meeting expectations. Over 6,000 students within 5 miles of here go to a school where less than 10% of their students are proficient in math and reading. There is such an opportunity gap. I live about 10 minutes south of here in Brewers Hill, and across the street from me is an MPS school. And again, I love public schools. I believe in them. MPS is an important part of our future. We've got to figure that out. I'm not here to diss MPS or any other public school. But I look across the street at this school, which has 0.7% proficiency. When I see a busload of kids pull up, 30 kids, one of them, maybe, is reading at grade level. And that is a tragedy for those children and for our city. We're gonna grow Milwaukee, so many good things are happening. We want employees who know math and reading at the basics, but are problem solvers, who are entrepreneurs. And it's really hard to do that if you don't have basic academic skills. So that's the context of Milwaukee. Kind of depressing. But your sermon today was about hope, and my presentation is also about hope. Because there are bright spots in that, in all aspects of schools, public schools, charter schools, private schools. And we hope Aug Prep is one piece of that hope. So I'm going to talk now about Aug Prep specifically and what we've done over the last 10 years to build a strong foundation such that we can launch a whole new campus on the north side. So this is our south side campus. You were saying you just popped by. We're nestled in kind of a neighborhood, very much a neighborhood. You driving along, it's just all houses, and there's these big buildings out of nowhere. Very different than here. about 6th and Lincoln, so by the Basilica, or like Bayview, if you know where that is. So that's the side of town we're on right now at our South Campus. In 2014, we bought our South Campus property. We ended up buying actually 13 different properties. This was an industrial dumping ground, so just nothing good was coming out of this side of town. When I started working there in 2016, worked across the street from prostitutes, saw a lot of drug deals happening, not a great neighborhood. But in 2017, we built a $50 million campus and said, this is a place where hope can come. This is a place where there can be light. And that was the dream and vision of our founders, the Ramirez family. So the Ramirez family, Becky and Gus, Becky was a teacher, Gus was an immigrant, and really saw that education changed his life. And so they have a business called Husco out in Waukesha. They do engineering, and that's been very successful. And so they wanted to give back to the path that they had been on, right? Education changed their lives. So they actually, through their financial assistance, over 300,000 kids globally go to school because of the Ramirez family. They help a lot of schools in Central America, in Africa, and they'd been doing a lot here in their hometown of Milwaukee, but it was frustrating. A lot of red tape, a lot of like, oh, we don't do that. And so finally, I think they hit the point, and they said, we're gonna do it ourselves. And so $50 million later, this campus was born. Not long after that, we built a second campus across the street. We bought the whole city block because we had wait lists, long wait lists, and knew there were more kids we could serve. So now on the south side, we educate about 2,400 students in grades K4 through 12 in these two buildings, so right here. And in the midst of that, and I'll get to this story, in 2023, we purchased the Cardinal Stritch campus. And next year, wait, that's this year now. Yes. I've never said that. You're my first ones I can say this year, 2026, my first 2026 presentation. We will be opening a new campus on the north side. I realized I didn't introduce you guys, I'm sorry. I got so excited. I have two awesome teammates here with me, Tanya and Latif. Do you want to quick say hi and who you are?
Hi everyone, my name is Tanya Griffin. I came on in 2023, so 2 years now I've been on aboard this journey with Aug Prep. Starting off, I am the outreach director for our soon-to-be this year North Campus.
Yeah.
So I've been on this journey, came on in 2023 as we were opening the elementary building with what we were going to build out for 2026, and I'm excited to be on this journey. A lot of my work so far in the past 2 years have really been diving into the community and getting to know everyone in the community, going around and really sharing all of the wonderful things Aug Prep South has done to really show you what we're bringing to Aug Prep.
Latif?
I can't follow that. My name is Latif Alston. Thank you, Kelsey, for inviting me. Awesome, beautiful church. I love it. That was great. One of the things that I look forward to as the recruitment manager coming on about 4 months ago is bringing those beautiful, bright faces into the building. So I'm excited about being in a new thing that's being built and growing. But I'm just amazed at the fact that Aug Prep is going on 9 years?
It's our 9th school year, yeah.
Yeah, that always gets me. Every time I talk about that, always gets me. But I hope that you guys will be able to just take a listen to what we got going on, and hopefully somehow we can be a part. I would love to see how we can all be a part of what's growing here at St Augustine Preparatory. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys. So who are we, to your point? These are kind of our foundational statements, and that will be the same across both campuses. At the end of the day, our North Star, everything we kind of bounce against, right, when we're doing a new initiative, are we gonna do this program, does it align with our North Star? And that's instilling hope. And we talked about this today in church, hope. Hope is so many things. It is earthly. For many of our families, hope is a career, right? A change for their family, but it is also beyond the earth. Right? So we are instilling hope in our kids by equipping them, and that's a really purposeful verb, equipping, like skills, actually doing actions to glorify God. But we do all this through a safe, exceptional, holistic K-12 Christian education that helps our students be tomorrow leaders, and we do it in the Aug Prep way, serving in love with courage, perseverance, integrity, and respect. So those are sort of the core of who we are, and everything we do should align with those. We are not strangers to growing. When we opened, we had almost 600 students. That is bigger than most schools ever get. And every year after that, you can see the new students we added, 300 or 400 new students, 500 new students. Oh, we had a mere 200 new students that one year. That's a lot of new people. I also have a graph of new staff that, as you can imagine, goes up like this too. So we almost have 2,400 students now. That is a lot of people. And who are our students? On the South Campus, they are primarily low-income students of color. So we are a private school. That means we do charge tuition, but we utilize the state's choice or voucher program. So students who are designated below this level that the state sets can access a voucher, bring it to us, and say, here's my voucher. We get some money from the state. That's kind of like a scholarship, if you can think of it that way, from the state to help us cover their cost. We spend a lot more than we get from the state, so we fundraise the difference. And so then those students go for free. So the vast majority of those 2,300 kids, like 99%, are choice students. They attend for free because they qualify for those vouchers. We also have special needs kids, so they have a different type of voucher through the state. And kind of to give a good benchmark, 85% of our kids qualify for free or reduced lunch. That'll look different here on the north side. We still have a heart for serving low-income kids. And as I showed in the beginning, there's still a lot of kids in this community that have needs. But we think God has given us this property to really have a more diverse community. One of the biggest things we've actually learned on the South Side from our students who go on to have full rides at Marquette or go to college is that they've never been around people who are different than them. And that's what the real world looks like. And so if we can prepare them in elementary or middle or high school to work and learn alongside people from different backgrounds, races, ethnicities, socioeconomic statuses, we think they'll be better humans, better citizens, better workers. And so that is the vision we have for this new campus. So it'll look a little different, but that's who we're serving on the South Side. We have a lot we're proud of at Aug Prep. And we have, like any organization, a lot of goals and benchmarks we're looking at. Here are a few examples of things we're excited to share. We're ranked by the state in the top 5% of academic growth. So at the end of the day, we're a school. Growing students academically is really important. Our students come back. That's a really important measure for us. Do their families choose to come back? 96% do. They're in school. If you follow education, chronic absenteeism in the country is rampant right now. Up to 20% in some places of kids just don't show up to school anymore. It's been a real problem post-COVID, but our kids show up. And in our community, I told you when we started, it looked a little different than it does now. According to the police in our neighborhood, crime has dropped 43% since we opened. We've won the best places to work 7 times, so our staff like to be there. And just for a picture of who we serve again, we serve 51 zip codes on the South Side, and we don't bus. So there are kids coming from up here, driving all the way down, or in many cases, we have a girl on Brown Deer Road who takes a couple buses to get there every day because their families are committed to having their students in that place. So we serve kids from all over. I'll get to this too, but we have kids from all over applying to North as well. I'll kind of breeze through these. This is ACT scores. I think my top's getting cut off there. But just, again, we're a school. It's really important that academics results are there. We are serving low-income kids, so many people would say, perhaps in an uneducated way, that there is not capability, and we're here to show that any kid can achieve, any kid can learn. Hey, thanks. Hey, thanks, tech expert here. So our average ACT score is look at that, 17.3. That was easy. I'm comparing that to Milwaukee Public Schools, to charter schools in Milwaukee. That's a different type of school, but is still a public school, and then to choice schools, which is what we are in Milwaukee, and statewide. So we're right there with them in terms of high school performance. We have to grow our high school kiddos really fast. Most of our 9th graders come to us years behind. They gotta move quick to catch up by the time they take that ACT junior year. The same is true this is ELA, and this is the state test every year. We're almost at the same results as the state, which is something we're really proud of. But in some cases, almost double other students in our community. So those academic results, this is math. Again, we're almost at the state level. We're really proud of those results, and our teachers work really hard to show that our students, no matter where they come from, can achieve at the level students anywhere can achieve at. At the end of the day, though, it's about what happens when they walk out of our doors. And so preparing students for the future is a really important part of our work. We have a whole team who does this, like 10 people. All they do is help think about the future. We call it future ready, because while college prep is in our name and it's part of who we are, that means we want college to be an option. You should be able to go to college if you want, but we know that's not the right choice for everyone. We've got students who are line mechanics with We Energies. We've got students who are doing mission trips. Whatever God calls you to, we want you to have the skills to walk into. So our students are going all over the country. Our last class, about 127 students in the class of 2025, had $34 million in scholarships and financial aid. They had over 550 different college acceptances, and they are 90% the first in their family to go to college. Again, this is what's possible for all kids. So we're really proud of that, and it's fun to just see all the places God takes them. The class of 2026 is already ahead of them in scholarships and are very proud to tell us that. You may have heard, especially post-COVID, that teens and young people are facing a mental health crisis. That's real. The data nationwide is real. Depression, anxiety, not just in teens, right, in our whole community is real. And so we know a lot of our students can't come and show up and learn math if they're grappling with trauma, with whatever happened at home, if they don't have food. So we have to put together a team to serve that need. We have a family team who does everything from like, your lights are out, let's help you get some assistance. You need food, we're gonna help through that. We also have a social work team. We have 9 people on the social work team and a trained therapy dog. And so our 14 social workers go around and help our students in one-on-one sessions. Last year alone, they had 9,000 different sessions meeting with students K to 12. So like my little buddy and my little boy in K4, he needs we have like a sensory room. He needs that break sometimes. He needs to walk with someone who gets it in an age-appropriate level. That is part of how we wrap around kids. When we say holistic, it's academic, it's arts, it's athletics, but it's also their like heart. And so college and career, mental health, all of that is part of what we weave into the Aug Prep way. We're actually the first school ever that Rogers, the mental health facility, allows direct admits. So they are so confident in the work we do, we can call Rogers and say we need a bed now, and they'll take us. We're the only school that it allowed to, which is a pretty cool, not something we want for our kids, but when they need it, it's there. All right, let's go back to 2023. So we're like opening this new $50 million building across the street. That's kind of, keeping a lot of our attention. We're busy. We're gonna add more students. And we, like all of you, hear that Cardinal Stritch is closing. Unreal. Like, that was such a shock in our community. And we had no plans to expand. I say that, not above me, like no plans to expand. But our founder walked that campus for a different event for All In Milwaukee, another really cool nonprofit you should hear about. I'm biased, my husband works there, but our kids often go into All In programs. He went to an All In program at the Cardinal Stritch campus and I think looked around and thought, huh. And to be totally transparent, when he brought that idea to us as leaders, we were like, what? What are you thinking? And we debated, and we wrestled, and we pushed, and there was just that voice of God saying, there's more kids who need you. And so we stepped into it, and at the time, we thought we would just paint some walls and kind of renovate. And then we met with the North Shore Fire Department and learned the significant differences between fire codes for college kids and little kids to the tune of like 30, 40 million without changing anything that you can see. And gosh, if we're gonna sink 30, 40 million behind the walls, maybe we should just make this the way we wanna make it. And so it went from a $20, $30 million investment to a $100 million investment. And you can imagine there was a lot of prayer alongside all of that. So in 2023, we committed to opening a new North campus. We're the Southside Eagles. We're going to be the Northside Lions. And our campaign that we're working on is Soaring to New Heights. Again, just God calling us in so much of that. We talk a lot about the Southside Pride, meaning like we have pride in ourselves, but also a group of lions is called a pride. And we are playing with who we should be. A group of eagles is called a soar. And so we are really excited to soar into this new journey. And there's a lot of biblical references to eagles and just something that really resonated with us. So here's the part you were waiting for. We're going to talk about North Campus now. We're opening this year, not next year, this year. The buildings we are making right now will serve 1,500 students. We will only open, though, with 330. We learned from growing on the south side that we can slow that down a little and be successful. And it's a different community. We recognize that. We've got a team getting to know this community because a lot of what we learned will be applicable, but there will be differences. And so we recognize that and know we're going to go into this and we're going to mess up and we're going to have to learn and pick ourselves up. But we'll have STEM and science labs, classrooms, group spaces, community spaces. As with our Southside campus, lots of awesome arts and athletic spaces. The gym is pretty much ready, and it's this huge room. We've got stages, 2 different stages for kiddos to practice theater, a whole center for that college and career, so we can have speakers come in, they can meet with mentors, they can meet one of their advisors. And what are we looking at on the North Campus? The foundation won't change. A deeply faith-driven education. We're a Christian school. We are non-denominational, so our staff come from almost 50 different backgrounds, denominations. We're missional, so our kids don't have to sign anything or commit to anything, but they will be exposed to Jesus and the light of Jesus in all they do, and not just like the 30 minutes of Bible class. It's in everything, right? The light of Jesus, the joy of Jesus radiates our halls. Excellence is important, though. We're a school, and we're not doing our job to prepare kids for the future if we don't do it with excellence in everything. I already mentioned this a little, but diversity, and again, that is of all types, racial, economic, just bringing people together. God created this community in a special way, and we were really excited to tap into all facets of that, because we think if those kids grow up and run our city, and they've known people from all different backgrounds, a lot of the problems we see today, the brokenness and the divisions, if we can teach kids to see the beauty in each other, and that's just who they are, we hope that would create such a beautiful vision for our future. Families, none of this works without families, right? At the end of the day, we only have so many hours with our kids. So if our families aren't supported, they don't have resources, we can't do this. Looking future ready, and this is bold. This is different. We recognize that. There are a lot of schools, private schools too, who have a few low-income kids. We're flipping that model, mostly low-income kids. There hasn't been a school of this scale around here either. So we recognize all that, but we really believe that we can be successful and be a part of this community. So where are we now? This was as of a couple days ago. We posted about 30 teacher roles in around Thanksgiving, had almost 600 applicants, and we have 6 teachers locked in, so we're really happy with that. This is usually the time of year people start applying, so we're still going. But 600 applicants, pretty happy. Students in the same way, almost 400 applicants, almost 200 still in the process. So you guys have, I know, a really intense process when they meet you, they're in phase 1, and we're moving them along, come visit us, come get to know us. So we've got a really healthy pipeline for students and staff. And our students on the north side so far, we have 28 zip codes represented in that applicant pool, which is exciting. Said this before, we'll open with about 330 students. Next year, we'll have grades K4, K5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So K4 to 5th, we'll have one section, like one class of each. We'll have 2 sections, about 50 middle schoolers in 6th grade, then about 100 9th graders. And then we'll grow every year from there. You don't want to start with all the grades. It's really hard to take an 11th grader from somewhere else. So we'll start and we'll grow, and in a couple years, we'll be that full K to 12. We did that on the south side as well, and it helped us ease into things. But still an ambitious graph. $103 million, we are almost there. The Ramirez family and Husco committed 75% of this. Incredibly generous, they weren't planning on that. We have raised $22 million for this project in addition to the money we raise every year. Every kid, like I said, we don't have enough money from the state, so every kid needs a scholarship. So we raised that as well. So we're really excited. We got some pretty cool gifts over Christmas. But we still need that last couple in the final countdown. So we call it, and we all sing, no, okay. That's what we're feeling. All right, here are the pictures that you want to see. What's this going to look like? So this is the entry to the K to 8 building. So we tore down a lot of buildings there, but we kept 2. What was the arts building at Stritch is now our high school. That was one of their newer buildings. So we're actually able to renovate that building pretty nicely. And then we took the main campus center, and that'll be, so that you'll see the red roof is still there. and some pieces of Stritch are still there. We have some really cool ways we're honoring the legacy of Stritch. So much of the Stritch values are like, I talk about like sowing good fruit, right? They're in the ground, they're in the soil, and they're gonna keep with us. So this is the K-8 building, which is sort of built around what was their old gym and kind of campus center. So that's still there, but we like built around it. And I was telling you guys, on the south side, so we're in the middle of this like tiny neighborhood, and you've got 2,000 kids getting dropped off every day. It's a little bit chaotic with parking and transit. We do the best we can. We are always working to improve, but it's actually pretty smooth for getting 2,000 kids in and out every day. But here, we got a mile-long driveway. There's all so much room for cars. It's gonna be amazing. So we have had neighbors here like, oh my gosh, the traffic. And of course, like, we understand that'll be different for you and we wanna work with you on that, but to us, we're like, you don't even know. It's gonna be great. So this is that drop-off lane. It goes all the way around the campus, comes through, and students can be dropped off for middle or elementary there, or they can come this way toward the high school. So this is the real life picture where the view you just saw is the one in the top left, actually. So again, you can see that like huge drop-off lane going all the way around. And you can see the red roof. That was the kind of center of Cardinal Stritch. We added on this, this is the giant gym athletic facility. There's a stage in there too. The soccer field is right next to it. This is kind of the center of the K-8 building, our main office. We'll have a dental office in there. At our current campus, we have a clinic. We won't have a clinic in this one because there's a lot of clinics in the area, but dental services are one our kids often don't get. So having a free dentist in the area is gonna be awesome. And that's also where some of the mental health, we'll have a mental health practitioner. We have 1.5 behavioral therapists at our campus on South. We'll have that up here as well. So all that'll kind of be in the middle there. And then this like U on the left is the K-8 wing. So think just kind of classroom buildings, 2 stories. And then to the left of it is the high school. This was taken in about December. So it looks real. It's crazy. They're like putting in flooring in some places. Yeah, so like that's a more recent picture. That's the gym. I mean, they got tiles up in the bathrooms. This is one of the staircases. So it's really starting to come to life, which is super fun. We probably will have occupancy late spring so that we can do some programming. Like the rep is running a summer camp in the building over the summer. So there'll be things going on there all summer already. So we're getting to the final stretch here. Our kind of color scheme is, we call it energized embrace. And our words, you know, you like do like a vision board. It's so fun to design buildings, things I never thought I'd be doing with my life. But connection, curiosity, and opportunity are the words. Interior designers and architects help us pick our words and then make everything flow from there. So energized embrace is the vibe we're going for in these buildings. These are renderings, so that's the big part of the big gym. It goes beyond that. And this is what was like the Great Hall at Cardinal Stritch. And so that stays the Great Hall when you walk in. It hasn't changed that much. And actually, crazy story of how God works, the name of that hall, or a building right off of it, there's a couple people we had no connection to, and one of them had something named after them at Stritch, and we met them, and they heard our vision, and they came in with a very significant gift to keep that legacy alive, and they're so excited to see that. And so that's what, whenever I see kind of these spaces, I think of the people who, you know, were so invested in CSU and now get to see some of that continue. This will be the high school cafeteria, which will also, as is true in any space in a school, be used for many other things. Clear up those tables, and it can be for dance, it can be for a student council, it can be for a parent meeting. But this will be, so I'm facing Port Washington Road right now. You come in off of Port and you go around. So you're gonna go by this big kind of wall of beautiful windows where that's a totally new space we added on to the Arts Center. You'll see, if you drive up, you see it kind of on the corner very obviously. That's the high school cafeteria. All our kids get hot breakfast, hot lunch, free snacks, food throughout the day, and it's cooked right there, so always fun. We actually, like, our food service team on the south side now runs a cooking club for our students, and they learn to cook. Science labs. Our high schoolers take more science than the traditional school, and they take more credits than almost any other school in the area. So they're often looking at like biomedical engineering, coding, in addition to like physics, biology, chemistry, all the basics, helping prepare them for the future. So, we said we want to connect. We want you to be part of this. What are some ways that can happen? Most importantly, we pray for us.
Yeah, amen.
please? Like, this is hard. And we see sometimes that, like, I don't want to get into spiritual warfare, but like, some people don't want good to happen, right? And like, there are pieces of this you might disagree with. At the end of the day, like, we love kids. We believe in them. And I hope you will pray for finding the right staff. Pray for those kiddos and their families. Change is hard. Pray even for the kids who don't get into our school. We're going to have wait lists. Pray that for our construction team, this is hard. But know that even in our imperfections, we are a team who loves kids and loves Jesus. And that is at the heart of all we do. So help us keep our eyes on that. But tell people, like, if you have a book club, we'd love to come talk to them. If you have grandkids, come tell them about our school. Whoever needs to hear about Aug Prep, please spread the word. At the end of the day, I just want this to be a community where people are like, oh, that new building, did you see it? Oh, yeah, I heard good things, right? That's the response I want. Oh, you don't have to know everything, but like, oh, that sounded good. Like, tell people you heard about this and it sounds good. Hopefully you believe that. So spread the word, but you can always come by too. These guys are pro tour leaders, can tour the building with a hard hat on if you want, can tour our south side and meet our students. They often lead the tours, and that's like really fun. If you ever are having a bad day, truly, like, come by campus. It's the best part about working in a school. Having a hard day, I will go to K4, and it's just joy and chaos and mess all at once. Or I can go to high school. I said I coach the high school debate team, and so sitting and talking to them about, we talked about Israel last week. Oof. But like, that's beautiful. Like, the world would tell us you have to be divided on so many things, and to just sit with kids and say, and it can be both, or I can respect the differences. It's so fun. Come see kids. You can come read to classes. You can, if you have a career you're interested in and want to tell our students about, come speak to our students. And we also have senior portfolios coming up. All of our seniors, before they graduate, they have to sit in front of a panel of real people, just like you, and basically like present, what have you done? And where are you going? Really scary, but really important, like capstone. And so we bring in real people, anyone can do it, to sit there and listen to them and give them feedback. Often it's like encouragement, but also so often God works in that, like you randomly assign someone a panel and they know someone who's going into that. And so that's a fun way to see what we do. And every kid does it. So it's not like we're giving you our shiniest ones. Like, I've seen all types of panels. Some knock you off their socks. Some kids are terrified. But they have to stand up and say, here's how I used my time at Aug Prep. Here's how I lived out the values. That's super fun. We've got theater productions. SpongeBob is our next one. My 6-year-old's very excited for that. But Charlotte's Web, we are reading that now, so my 6-year-old will go watch that with me, is coming up. We do lots of theater shows, art. We have a showcase in May of our student art, and some of our artists are incredible. Super cool. Basketball season is in full swing. So many sports teams all the time. So anything you want to see, we probably are running it. If you have the last 2.9 million I am looking for, let's talk. If not you, maybe your uncle, rich uncle, anyone? We are still fundraising for that last bit of the building. Everything from like buy a brick or a bench, every piece matters, right? Like, God brings together every little piece of this campaign, and we just really trust He's got a plan for us there. Every student needs a scholarship, $2,500 per student every year. We have a gala in May that's super fun. We'll learn more about that. But all sorts of ways you can give, IRA rollovers, life insurance, all that. So think about if there's a way you could connect with us and be involved in our school, either at our south side or as we open north. Okay, I talked a lot. What's on your mind? Anything? I only have a couple minutes left, but anything you're wondering? Donna, grill me. Here, I can do this. Sure. The thousands in the audience that I can't see, right? Oh, yeah. Donna first.
Ms. Donna.
Well, I would like to know your target population.
Sure.
And the second question, and I'll let it to everybody else. Are you going to do busing?
Do you want to answer? Do you want me to answer? Okay. No busing. No busing. Strategic decision. We recognize that limits who we can serve, but twofold. It's really expensive to bus. Those millions, we decide are better invested in social workers in college and career. Also, busing is often where the worst behavior issues happen. And so while we recognize that might limit some families, our choice is we're not going to bus. And that also means that every family comes every day. That touch point is really important. standing in line, talking to someone when they drop their kid off, and seeing them every day is really, really beneficial to our community. So again, we're not a school for everyone. We recognize we can't serve every kid. So we don't bus. And in terms of who our target population is, so on the south side, we're primarily low income. Up here, again, because we have this vision for diverse by design, we'd like to be more mixed socioeconomically. We'd love to see ultimately like a third of our students who don't qualify for that voucher, who pay tuition, mixed with about 2/3 low income students. Whatever that looks like, racially, ethnically, let it be. But we really think a healthier mix of that is good for kids. It's good for their education. Will that be complicated? Like, yes. But our vision is a little more diverse than we see on the south side. And so we don't care where they come from. Like, if you want to drive from Brookfield, we have families from Brookfield. What are some of the far ones? We have like Waterford one applied from. Like, families like really looking for what's right for them seem to be willing to commit to get their kids there. So kids from all over, mixed socioeconomically, but no busing. Testing, testing.
Batteries are.
In the meantime, I'll just shout it out.
I'll repeat it too. Go ahead.
Thank you for the very exciting presentation. I have nitty-gritty questions that I would like to ask students.
Ooh.
Starting at K4 and going through college. What engages the kids about the technology?
Ooh.
One just screen time and the other content.
Great question. So the question was, as you grow from a K4 student to a 12th grader with us, engagement with technology, both how much are you in front of a screen and how do you get competent, because much of our lives and our future careers are around screens. Something we think about a lot. We actually right now have a separate committee looking like an AI committee, because if you don't have that, you're a little behind. Like really thinking about how do we thoughtfully engage kids in technology. So I can speak even personally for my first grader and my K4 kiddo, very limited screen time. We do have one-to-one devices, like every kid has a Chromebook in their classroom in the carts, but very limited screen time. Maybe like a half hour a day at those levels. And the places it most often comes in is the individualized learning paths. So say my first grader is it's their math block, it's like an hour of math. So usually there's like a whole group, and then they have small group, and then because everyone's at a different level, depending on what they're at, if they finish early or they're really good at this skill, we have specific programs, and here's one place AI can be a blessing. So he logs into what's called IXL, which is their like math supplemental thing. To him, he thinks he's like earning badges, and he tells me he like got another level. But really what the computer's doing is saying like, oh, you solved that fraction problem, right? You're ready to move on to this, and it knows where they're at. So he gets his own personalized like learning path using that, and I can log in at home and see where he's at. So that's where it comes in the most in like elementary, is those like half an hour here where you need more challenge. As you get older, they have to learn to like type their essays, right? And a lot of their tests, for example, are on computers instead of pencil and paper. But again, most of the class period, the best learning happens through discussion, right? Through kids leading it. Like it's not the teacher just talking at them. And so that doesn't often happen with screens. But we have a lot of intentionality, especially by the high school level, where they learn to use technology well, learn to use AI well, learn to research well. All of those pieces are things you're gonna need in the future. It's a tool. It is not how you learn. And so we are very conscious of that. It changes every day. But something we think a lot about too. But obviously, like, most of their teachers' presentations are on screens now, right? And that's like the projector of old. So, but actually staring at a computer, pretty limited. Yeah? What else is on your minds? Ooh.
I'm really excited about this venture.
Thank you.
I'm a retired faculty member at university school.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm worried, frankly, that these two schools will compete against each other.
Sure.
I would like to see them collaborate. I think there's a real opportunity for the leadership at each school to talk about ways that you can collaborate in attracting students who are not being well served by the public schools. So that's my vision. I think some people at university school, I will see it as a threat.
Yep.
I certainly don't.
Thank you.
And I hope that your leadership, and I certainly would like to encourage the leadership at university school to collaborate, to work together to provide opportunities for these students.
Please do.
And I wonder if you see that as a real possibility.
Preach, yes, 100%. We are not the end-all be-all or the answer. We are not the savior. We have a savior. It's not us, okay? And we can't serve every kid. And we aren't right for every kid. And so, yes, we are very much believe in collaboration. And we've done that on the south side and are trying to do that. We've met with the university school leadership. Actually, the Nicolay principal, we talk all the time, right across the street. Like, we're their backup fire evacuation site. They're ours. He has been more than gracious. And generally speaking, that has been our experience meeting with other schools. Now, maybe behind our backs, that's not the case. But we very much believe in collaboration. Why would we make something from scratch if you guys have it figured out? We share everything. Anything we've made, take. So I run a group of 30 different HR leaders from schools all over the city. I made this nice tracker to help check on retention. Take it. Like, I'm not trying to hold out secrets here. This is hard work. And if we don't do it in a community setting or a collaborative setting, we're not serving our community well. And so we very much believe in that. We might have different philosophies at the end of the day about certain things, but we're all in it for kids. And so where that comes to the nitty-gritty is just like time. Like, we can't sit and meet every principal with every other principal all the time, but that is our heart. We are not here to steal kids from schools on the North Shore. We are here to be an option, and if we're the right school for you. We are not the right school for anyone and everyone, and we'll tell kids that and families that, especially sometimes the kids with the real strong special needs. We aren't right, and here are some other schools that could serve you better. Can we make a call? Can we introduce you? That is our heart, is collaboration and community. And I know not everyone sees it that way, but we do, sincerely. That answer your question?
Very infectious presentation.
Thank you. Hopefully not literally from my cold.
Uh,
I'm told I'm not contagious.
Actually, I asked, how will you take care of special needs? Because the campus sits in Glendale and Fox Point, and at those school board meetings, there has been concern expressed that it will take resources from those communities at those taxpayers' expense to address the special needs in the private campus.
Yeah, that's always the concern with the way this funding works in our state. And so the state has decided it that way, and we serve kiddos at a much lower dollar value than others and get the same results. And so we're really proud of that. But that's not wrong, factually, right? When a kid leaves a public district, money follows them. We have a heart for all kids, but we can't serve all kids well. So we have a whole team who looks at their needs and decides, are we a good fit for them? And actually, we're really blessed. On our campus is the St. Francis Children's Center. They actually lease from us. Who knew? Another thing we bought, and we're like, wait, we own that? Cool, okay. Very, very exciting surprise. And we just have worked through a partnership to have their team do OT and PT on our campus for our kids. And actually, they'll drive down to our south campus to help our kids. Because right now, something we can't offer if a kid comes to us is occupational therapy, because we don't have a therapist. But now we have a partnership, so we can offer that, so we're really excited. But we cannot serve all needs, and that's another important part of a whole ecosystem of good schools. That's part of why public schools have the specialty and needs and resources. We get a lot less money per kid with special needs and have to figure it out, and that's why we work through, we can't do this. But everything from autism, behavioral disorders, intellectual disorders, we can serve that. We have special ed teachers, we have speech pathologists on staff. They're integrated, the kids are integrated in the classroom again. I want my kid in a class where they see all different types of people and how that's beautiful and good in God's creation. But there are things we can't serve at the end of the day. And that's where, at least in our current campus, we are good partners with other public schools to say, hey, this is a better fit for your family. This will work better for you. So I recognize that schools might feel that way.
Concern is that 1,500 students is greater than the entire student population of, for instance, the Bayside Fox Point school system, and therefore equal percentages will create quite a burden on those systems.
If it's anything like the South Campus, we do not take more than a couple kids per school. We have over 100 feeder schools every year. And so while the dramatic result would be all 15 from one school district, the reality of that is very, very unlikely. We already have almost 30 zip codes. Like, kids are coming from all over. And we can't control how we accept kids who use the choice funding. So if 75% of our kids are choice, it's a lottery. We have no say. We can't pick who we pick. They just show up. And most of those probably won't be these districts. Some might, but it seems unlikely. So I would not expect more than a handful of kids. While I recognize the drama might be all of them, it probably won't in reality. Let's see how the first 300 shake out. Let's get the first 300 started. But I think that's like maybe catastrophizing a little bit. Is that fair? Yeah. Again, we want to be collaborative. Like, we're not here to close any district. We're here to be an opportunity for families that we're right for.
Will you be dealing with? I saw on the southside campus, you said 37
50,
some or-
almost 50. I think
Okay.
it's 50 this year.
And so what would the zip codes be for this place?
I don't know.
They're not busing in, but they're coming from all 30-some different zip
Yes,
codes?
it is up to the families. And so we serve students in Racine right now on the south side. We serve students in New Berlin and West Dallas, Greenfield, Brown Deer, all of it on the south side. So wherever families choose to come from and commit to being there, we will serve. We don't have any exclusions. Someone wants
So
to
you
drive
don't
from
have-
Madison, go for it.
You don't have a distance
We don't.
limitation or anything
Nope,
else?
nope, nothing like that. Wherever they come from. Yeah, Latif, I think the farthest we've seen, like Waterford, and they're in, I think, that family's.
You know, it's almost like anything else. You got a good product, folks want to travel to get it. Oh, sorry, passing the mic. It's almost like anything else. If you have a good product, folks will travel to go get it. For me, for example, I love the Goodwill that's in that's in Oak Creek. I can hit any Goodwill that's in the area.
But that's your Goodwill.
But that's my Goodwill out there, and I'm gonna travel for it because it got some good stuff at that Goodwill, and I make light of it. But think about a child's educational future. This is something that you're investing in for that child's from K-4 all the way to 12th grade. I'm gonna travel. If I got a good product and I know my child's being serviced and I know my child has the best educational experience, there's no limit, we'll travel. So I think we all can attest to that.
Please. Deep theological question? Okay.
I can tell from your energy that so much of this, both the vision and the execution must be homegrown, must have come from your leadership board. You've also talked about being collaborative, so you're learning as you go. But are there any other schools, like in other parts of the country, that you are like, we don't want to copy them, but like they're an inspiration to us, or is it really fully like a DIY, bottom-up thing?
Great question. So we had a year before we opened the Southside to go visit schools, and the founding principal, who still works for us, visited over 150 schools around the country. I went to many of them with him, and so when we started, it was much more like, ooh, in Boston, they're doing math this way, and in LA, they're doing reading this way, and let's put it all together in the way that best serves kids. As we've grown, one of the biggest challenges we face is just scaling, right? Like when we started, there were 50 employees. I knew everyone's name and their dog's name. I knew everything about them. Something changed. I was like, hey, something changed. I'll just walk down the hall and tell you all. I can't do that with 300 employees anymore. So we have systematized a little bit more. And in that way, we are working with, there's an Association of Christian Schools International, or CISA is another group we work with. So we're much more out there than we were and like learning from others. So we actually have a great partnership with Baylor University in Texas. And they are awesome, like Christ-driven leaders. And so they are actually helping us totally revise our instructional coaching model based on best practices and their research. And that models after some schools nationwide. Or there's a really cool school in the San Jose area doing entrepreneurship really well. So we've been talking to them for years of how do we take pieces of that and grow into that. So it's not like any one school in the whole, but a lot of like, I like this mixed with this. The biggest challenge we see nationally is most of the schools we try to model don't serve low-income kids. They're private schools of, I'm gonna just be very blunt, like white children paying $20,000 a year. And so to have to take that and adapt it for some very different needs is a challenge, but also really inspiring. A lot of those schools, I think, are seeing what could be as well and like maybe opening their eyes. So no direct copy or anything, but a lot of pieces here and there. There are so many schools doing good work, even in Milwaukee. Like I started with the depressing slides, but there are great things happening in MPS, happening in charter schools. Like people care about kids, most school leaders and teachers. And so they're trying really hard. And again, we try to be collaborative and pick the best pieces and put them together in a way that works for us. I think the harder thing is like saying no. That's the big focus of our leadership team this year. Like sometimes you're choosing between good things and good things, but you can't do it all. And there's so many shiny spoons out there of like, ooh, this new curriculum bumped people 10% in this state, let's go do it. Like to have to be really thoughtful and take time and give it a few years to see how it goes, that is harder for us because you just want to like try the newest thing, and it, like the balance of go fast and go slow, or go slow to go fast, has been something. Pray for us in that as well.
Are you incorporating the practicality in your curriculum? I'm a former economics teacher and was married to an industrial arts teacher.
Okay.
And of course, I'm pretty old. But there are things that I think are really missing. So, I mean, just simple things. Is there, including cursive, where some of the new things are that kids have missed the synapse from not learning how to use cursive with their brain?
Or like note taking was one skill we saw really missing. Yeah.
Are you going to try to incorporate some of these things, especially at an early age, when it would be easy to add some of these little things that will be life skills that will help people be more successful in their own families?
You are spot on, and is one of the many challenges, back to like, how do you do it all? It is something we think a lot about. I just gave the example of note taking. That was a skill we really realized was missing by the time kids got to high school. So we started offering all these dual enrollment classes. You're taking a college class. We're like, oh, they never learned to take notes. No wonder this is so hard. So back to middle school, start incorporating how do you take notes, different methods, actually getting graded on it, like learning that skill, or how to keep yourself organized. Like when we started, we didn't give out like calendars, and then we started learning like we gotta teach kids how to keep their calendars. So real life stuff. Sometimes we learn it by mistake, like where did that get missed? Or typing, right? Like I see some high schoolers like, I'm like, oh no, that's gonna make life hard. So we think about a lot of that and are incorporating it throughout the K-12 spectrum. We actually have a whole committee kind of committed to that, but when we say future ready, whether that's the workforce or a college, it includes all of those skills. And so the committee that's in charge of that has actually made like a list of those skills and has already started, part of a journey, where are they getting this and when? And then if they come to us in 9th grade and they missed us in 6th, how do we catch them up? So we are thoughtful about all of that. We are not there yet. We are on that journey, and a lot of it is just where do you fit it in the day, right? Like a lot of our kids are 2 or 3 years behind in math and reading, and so they get double math and double English time in the day. And we also want them to know Jesus and play joyfully and try music and go swimming. And so that is, I think, one of the bigger challenges is just how do you use your time to meet all of those needs? But it is something we're thinking about. We're still figuring out how it looks, though. So thank you. A lot of it, some of it's clubs, too. Like we don't have a home economics class, but now we have a cooking class. We have a cooking club. We had a sewing club. We have, yeah, we should talk. You want to come teach sewing, teach a club after school? Like a lot of that happens after school, because a lot of our kids don't get picked up till 5 anyway, so we offer a ton of clubs and sports. So getting those skills in other areas too. Or they each have an advisory in the middle and high, which is kind of like a homeroom, but their advisory is like their person. They're kind of watching over them, and they all stay together all 4 years, so you like grow up together. And that's where a lot of those skills happen too. Do you have uniforms? We do have uniforms. Yes, we have uniforms. There are days where you can wear your Packers jersey. It would have been helpful. No, okay. We do have uniforms, makes it easier, know what you're wearing. They're not too, over the years we started very strict, like ties and collars, and everyone was blowing through the elbows of their pressed shirt, and so now it's polos, pretty basic, easy to afford, and just keeps it consistent. They get more strict as you get older, so like my first grader, that we don't care what socks or shoes he wears, and they have a croc day once a week, but by high school, like black shoes, and you have to be a little more. Just let's focus on the learning environment, not what we're wearing and status symbols that come with clothes. So we do have a uniform.
It's a question on the business model going forward.
Yes.
So you've got revenue comes in from choice vouchers,
Yes.
and then there may be some other revenue sources, but then you
Fundraising.
obviously have a large ongoing annual fundraising
Gap.
to make up the gap.
Correct.
And I'm sure you've modeled that out.
I'm modeled through 2050. Yep.
Okay, and that's got a big effort going forward.
Yeah. Yes. So we think a lot about sustainability.
Yeah.
This would be silly to do if it was all just going to fall apart. So we really do look at, so that yes, our main income stream is from government funding, and then there's a chunk that is fundraising. Some of that the Ramirez family has committed to into perpetuity, but there is a chunk, about $3 million every year, we fundraise externally. We have always hit those numbers and feel really confident at this point, based on our donor base, that we'll be able to sustain that.
Do you have a foundation?
The Ramirez Family Foundation kind of serves
Okay.
as our core foundation, but that is a risk, that's fair. That's something we think a lot about, because the model only works if we can continue that. But we also advocate at the state level and would love your voices too. Just last year, or about a year and a half ago, the funding level went up for our students. We get significantly less than other students statewide, and we achieve the same results pulling from the same pool. So we've advocated for more money per student. So if the government revenue changed, that would be another game that could be changed. But yes, we have many a spreadsheet with all sorts of, there's 3 CPAs on the team, so we're all playing this game over and over again, but we do have to think about the sustainability of our revenue sources.
And many years from now, we'll be looking at our alumni base. So we'll
Hey.
be looking at them to be able to support the school as well. So we're looking even further down the line.
They'll be
So-
doing my job by then. That's my goal. Anyone else? Please. Theological question?
Kind of, sort of. No. As a school that is clearly committed to incredible academic, excellence and achievement, and also from a Christian perspective, when your parents are applying or asking questions about this, is it required that the parents are on board with the Christian format, or are you willing to, take families that maybe they're a-religious or on the fence or Jewish, or
Yep.
how do you approach that when you're talking to your parents?
Absolutely. We are missional, so our families don't have to sign anything. A lot of church schools are like covenant schools, you have to sign. We are not like that at all. Some of that's because state funding doesn't allow us to, but it's also our heart. We have many students who are not Christian, or we have a handful of Jewish, but we have Muslim. We have a couple of different things. The most important factor we learned over time was just being really transparent upfront. Like, this is what it is. This is what it's going to look like. It is not, like, please understand that and know if it's not for you, then there are great schools you can choose from. But if you're willing and you want that experience for your kid, then it's going to be part of their day. And so legally, the state requires us to allow students to opt out of religious classes because we take state funding. We've never had a student opt out. And it's also really hard to opt out because it's in everything. Like, sometimes we talk about God when we talk about math, because like fractions and the word, like, how could you not think somebody designed, right? Like, and so like it is in everything. Your teacher's going to start the day by praying often, and when something hard happens, we're going to gather the first graders in a circle and pray about it. Because my son hits kids sometimes, and we have to talk about reconciliation and what that looks like in real life. But we just have to be really transparent, and we have seen the coolest stories of hearts changing. And some of our biggest, I'm getting chills, some of our families today didn't know Jesus, and their kids started coming home and talking about this. And then a friend said, come to church with me. And I can think of one family specifically who started going to church with another family, and now they're like prayer warriors for us. They come to our family chapels, they've seen that. And some of the beauty and challenge of being non-denominational is all the backgrounds. But I think, again, in a world that tells you it has to be black or white, to model that, we may not agree on this part of the Eucharist, but we agree on Jesus, right? That has been really fun to wrestle through with my staff and even with my high school debate team, right? And as kids progress through school, of course, as little kids, we start with joy. And lessons on what does forgiveness look like, what does being a good friend look like. But by high school, they're taking like structured theological classes, even some like with Marquette University, where they are wrestling through. Because so often, and I'm going to overgeneralize, but a lot of people in my generation left the church because they were told it had to be this way, and you were wrong. And don't get me wrong, there are things that are pretty clear. But if you just are told no, it's really hard to absorb that. And so even walking with our kids who are wrestling with gender identity, like if we can do that with love first and say, you're on a journey, we got you. We love you. Do you need to like have a different bathroom? We got you. Like those are really hard discussions and debates, but the first commandment is to love. And so everything we do should be coming through that lens. So we have families come from every background. If they get there and after a year, it's too much Jesus for them, there are plenty of families on the wait list. We bless you into what's next. We've had staff like that too. Like it is an expectation of our staff that they model Jesus and they bring it into the classroom. And depending on what background you're from, like I've learned so much from my Catholic brothers and sisters because that's so different. They're like, what, you want me to pray out loud? And here I am like, hands in the air, like that's my background. And so, but it's been beautiful to learn from them and have them lead worship sometimes and have, but we had to, and so sometimes I say to a teacher like, hey, you gotta lead prayer in class. They're like, what? What does that mean? I'm like, okay, we can pull up on a website, we can flip through a daily devotional, we can walk you through this. And they've found such joy in that too. But we are committed to being a Christian school. We think it's part of what makes us special. Like, none of this is hard, and without the hope of Jesus, it would be, at least I choose to do it in a light where I can pray with colleagues, or I can pray with kids. Like that is so beautiful. And it would be really hard for me to have to do that in a setting where I couldn't do that. But if it's not for you, there's a lot of great, like we work with great schools around Milwaukee that we could recommend as well. So, does that answer your question?
I think on behalf of Christ Church, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Latif and Tanya will sign you up for tours. Big line, come make a tour, right? Come get on our calendars. We'd love to see you, connect with your family and friends, but continue to be in prayer for us. Thank you. Thanks for having us.